I used to think the strangest part of my medical career would be night shifts or malfunctioning lab bots, until the evening my alien patient looked me straight in the eyes and asked, with unsettling innocence, "What is a kiss?" What happened next wasn't in any human textbook. Her skin lit up like a warning flare. The walls hummed with something I couldn't explain. And suddenly, I was the only thing standing between her and a biological reaction I didn't remotely understand. And the worst part? The more I tried to keep my distance, the closer the universe seemed determined to pull us. I was 3 cups of coffee into an all-night shift when Lyra moved in. Not moved in like dropping off a duffel bag and calling it home. Lyra arrived with an entire suitcase of iridescent scarves, a thermally adaptive mattress that purred when you pressed the mattress pad, and a small, polite explosion of bioluminescent freckles across her collarbone that spelled, if you squinted at the right angle, the word for thank you in whatever language she used at home. The hospital had insisted we take her into temporary care after her transport from an orbital freighter. The city's xenomedical liaison tabled the ethics forms with an apologetic shrug, and then I, being the insomnia-bent resident on call, had the dubious honor of staying with her until the paperwork caught up with bureaucracy. "You're my roommate now," she announced the first afternoon, as if we'd already signed a lease. Her voice had a crispness to it, like wind passing over quartz. She had referred to me as doctor for the first week, because she liked the way the word compressed concern into a neat syllable. The second week she simply called me Ray, my name, and that was always when a grin lit my face like a soft hazard light. She was female, by human chromosomal standards, though her biology read like annotations from a poet who'd fallen in love with a physics textbook. Her skin, if you could call it that without sounding clinical, caught light and made it blush. Across the bridge of her nose and down the back of her neck, thin filaments lay like hair, but shimmered like algae in aquarium light. They reacted to sound and pressure, twitching when she laughed. Her eyes were a deep onyx at rest, but when she was thinking hard, they took on the green-gold shimmer of a planet before rain. Most distracting of all were the markings, delicate, softly glowing sigils that trailed from the nape of her neck and spilled down her palms. They pulsed faintly as she breathed. And once when I stood too close while we were troubleshooting an IV line, the way those marks brightened made me forget whether I was a doctor or a very flustered adolescent. We were an impractical pair. Me, practical, sarcastic, the sort of man who labeled leftovers and vacuumed on a Sunday because he enjoyed the smugness of productivity. Lyra, literal, precise, a scientist's mind wrapped in a poet's shoulders. Her jokes were observant and delivered with the same measured cadence she used when reading an EKG. She was endlessly curious about everyday human customs, mundane things that, to her, shimmered with novelty. "What is a kiss?" she asked once in the kitchen, standing on a stool because our countertops were designed for humans, and she was not. I almost choked on my tea. The question was small and dangerous, like the kind of spark you prod with a fingertip because you want to see if it will dance. It's complicated," I said. I trailed off because describing a kiss crosses a threshold between biology, culture, and personal memory, and I am not, by nature, a romantic poet. Lyra watched me unblinkingly. Her filaments stilled like a school of fish taking shelter. She was, in fact, my patient first. She'd come into med with a panic-triggered arrhythmia and an unusual enzymatic imbalance, nothing we couldn't manage. Our initial medical objective had been straightforward: stabilize, observe, discharge. But Lyra had stayed. Bureaucracy aside, she was the kind of person who, once invested, leaned in with both arms. She learned the coffee machine quicker than anyone else on our floor, and one night, after a technical lecture on xenoneurology, She announced that the place needed more plants and proceeded to cultivate a small jungle on her WINDOWSILL accident, because that's what it was. Labeled in both my head and in the dry note I later filed, happened on a Thursday. I was half reading a study on cross-species pheromonal triggers and half watching a muted crime drama when Lyra decided to prank me. She has a kind of literal mischief that loves rules and ways to bend them without breaking them. Human pranking module detected, she'd said once, eyes crinkling. And then she would enact whatever the module suggested with the solemnity of a lab rat pressing the lever. This prank involved her sitting, quite deliberately, on the arm of my chair. She did it because she wanted to see how you would handle having your personal space reduced by one human elbow's worth. She climbed up like a cat, a quick, graceful motion, and landed with both knees planted on the armrest. One hand bracing on the back, the other flicking her filaments like a flirtatious antenna. It was harmless. It was invincible. And then her thigh brushed mine. It was, as the textbooks might say, a critical contact event. Her sigils, those glowing, mesmerizing marks, shifted under the skin. I felt it beneath my palm where my latte-thumbed cup had been set down. A shift in the air. A soft fluting vibration that rose in pitch, an ascent not unpleasant, but rich and biological. Like rain on warm iron. Lyra's breath hitched. Her pupils dilated, those shimmering coils around her irises darkening to a molten pitch. The filaments along her neck rose in a tiny flocking movement. Then impossibly, something very old and very organismal unfurled inside her. A reflexive bloom of warmth at the center of her chest, and a humming low, vocal and involuntary, that threaded through my spine. "Ray," she said. The name not a question this time. The tone was stripped of play and full of an animal clarity. That makes you aware you are in the presence of something meant to be treated carefully. There is a response. I glanced at the monitor I was, habitually, always checking heart rates these days, and even my own pulse seemed to stutter when hers went from steady to soft. Then quick, then which was the thing that made me very aware of my humanity synchronizing to a frequency that made the lamps overhead seem to throb in time. "Okay," I said. Because okay is the small human word we reach for when every fancy diagnosis uses more syllables than we have courage left. "Okay, Lyra, breathe with me, slow, long, match me." She obeyed. Her breathing matched mine like a duet learning tempo. The humming softened, the glow waned from her sigils into a scattered constellation. But something in the chemistry pheromones, a hormonal cascade, wasn't settling. Her palms were damp where she rested them on my armrest. Her body leaned towards me, despite the chair's arm between us. "We may have activated a mating reflex," I said, because honesty was medically required, and because, if the universe had decided to hand me a moment, I could have sworn I'd never survive. I was going to be a rational man about it. Saying mating reflex made it real and measurable, and less like the fairy tale proposal my chest wanted to whisper. Lyra's mouth made the smallest O. She looked stunned, then thoughtful. "On my world," she started. "Touch like that is an intimate symmetry. It invites." She searched for the word, and when she couldn't find it, she simply made the sound again. The hum, smaller now and more embarrassed. "I miscalculated." "I wouldn't call it miscalculated if you pretended to be a cat on my lap," I said, absurdly. My voice did what it always did when I was embarrassed. It became too bright. "From a human perspective." "From both perspectives," she cut me off gently. Her hand, not meaning to, found mine. The touch was electric and absurdly tender. Her skin warm where our fingers met glowed faintly, then brighter, like a candle inhaling. "This is new data," she said. "Allow me to experience it fully." That those words reached past my chest, and tucked themselves into the soft place around my heart. My mind, professional as it was, cataloged: keep contact to stabilize heart rate, avoid sudden movement, monitor for escalation. My other mind, the one that liked to get into trouble, wanted to slide those sterile guidelines aside and see what happened next. We sat in that tenuous balance for a full minute, maybe two. Then the apartment door clicked, and someone laughed in the hallway. Lucy, my friend from the clinic, who had a talent for timing that could sabotage a soap opera. Lyra's filaments froze. Her eyes snapped towards the door. A protective line drew itself along her jaw, a primal set that translated, in the human idiom, to stay. Company, I said, and my voice was smaller than the silliness of the prank that had started all this. Before I could move, Lucy's silhouette filled the doorway, a carrier bag looped over one arm, a grin wide as a crescent moon on her face. Hey, you too. I brought. She stopped. She stared. Her gaze traveled from my hand to Lyra's glowing throat, to the way Lyra's chest rose and fell in a way that said she was not exactly calm, and then back at me with the expression of someone who had walked into a private act between people she loved. Lyra's glow snapped like a live wire. Her hand clutched mine. The humming deepened an anxious animal song, and something like a scale of possessiveness dropped over her features. Lucy, she said, and there was an undercurrent now. A low note that I recognized from my bedside manner training as Territoi. Lucy, bless her, blinked, and then laughed as if that were the most normal thing in the world to see at 5 p.m. A human man in a hoodie, holding hands with a luminescent alien who hummed like a tuning fork. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt something? She asked, and the question hung between us like a challenge. Lyra answered by tightening her fingers around mine. Her glow flared in a slow, sumptuous wave, like a signal firing along a great organism. Do not approach, she said softly, not entirely in English, the words carrying heat. This subject is ... stabilizing. Lucy's face went through a dozen colors. Right. Totally normal. I'll put the compass delicately in the sink. She drifted like a much too aware moon, and the door closed with a soft click that sealed us into the quiet aftermath. We were not alone in that moment. My apartment felt smaller and fuller, as if it could hold more than a couch and mismatched mugs. Lyra's breathing slowed. The hum shifted towards something that could have been embarrassed laughter. Her gaze found mine again, and for a heartbeat, everything outside of us was erased. I asked what a kiss was, she said, almost whispering. I still do not understand. I could have answered with a lecture about pheromones versus cultures, or an anatomy lesson about lips and nerves. Instead, my chest warmed, and my words came softer than the hum that had earlier frightened me. Then maybe, I said, we should find out what it means. Her sigils brightened in a way that made my knees go loose. She tilted her head like a question mark, and I realized, with a clarity that was both terrifying and delicious, that there were rules to this species, rituals and rites, and I was both unqualified and wildly willing to learn. She moved closer, not because the reflex forced her, but because curiosity did. Our faces were inches apart, the air between us charged and curious. The apartment was silent, except for the sound of our breathing. Outside, the city continued its indifferent hum. Inside, something old and human and new unfurled. Before my lips could find the right angle, the room seemed to contract into a single, impossibly taut second. A soft, insistent thudding sounded from my phone on the coffee table, 3 quick vibrations that meant a message. The screen lit up, and Lucy's text scrolled across it. Sorry. Forgot my keys inside? Could you put them on the hook? Also, call me later. The clinic wrote a pause. My heart, traitorous organ, leapt. Lyra's face registered the interruption like a physical blow. Her glow dimmed. She went very still, and for the first time since she sat on my armrest, I felt wholly exposed and entirely seen. We were at the edge balanced between a discovery and etiquette. The question was whether we'd step back and call it a lesson, or step forward and let curiosity be the teacher. The answer trembled on my lips. I leaned in. I didn't get more than a breath closer before Lyra reacted. Not in fear, no. That would have been easier to navigate. Instead, she emitted a tiny, startled chirp, like a musical hiccup, and jerked back just half an inch. Just enough to make me stop. Just enough to remind me she was an alien whose biology I'd nearly pushed into overdrive 10 minutes prior, but her hand didn't leave mine. Her glow didn't vanish either. It just shifted. A simmer instead of a flare. Warm instead of scorching. "Ray," she said slowly, her eyes fixed on my mouth as though cataloging the movement. "The reflex is stabilizing. But—" She swallowed, her throat shimmering with that faint, luminescent pulse. "Please do not stop." That sentence nearly ended me. My heartbeat thudded in my ears like a drum line made of pure panic and desire. "Wasn't planning to," I whispered. The moment hung between us again, tentative and charged, when she suddenly stiffened. "Your friend may return," she said, tense. I detect the vibration pattern of a human footstep approaching the door. I blinked. "Wait, you can hear footsteps through 3 inches of reinforced apartment steel?" "I can hear the heartbeats of insects in the wall insulation," she said, matter-of-factly. I let out a strangled laugh. "Right, of course you can." Her filaments shivered with amusement for half a second, but then flattened abruptly as the doorknob rattled. Lyra surged closer to me so fast, I barely had time to react. The humming returned, not the frantic mating reflex frequency from before, but a low protective growl that vibrated through her chest and into mine. She angled her body between me and the door like a shield. My mild-mannered, scientific alien roommate was preparing to fight my coworker over. What? Territory? Possession? Romantic confusion? This was a nightmare, if nightmares came with glowing shoulders and the scent of warm rain. "Lyra," I hissed, gently tugging her arm. "You don't need to." The door swung open. Lucy poked her head in, waving sheepishly. "Sorry, I just realized. Wow, okay, bright in here." "Ray, did you change the lighting, or—" She trailed off as her eyes landed on Lyra's currently blazing feather-like filaments. Lyra angled her chin up in a very unsubtle challenge. "You have re-entered the space," she said coolly. Lucy froze, her expression doing the full sitcom journey from confused to concerned to, "Oh my God, am I intruding on something wildly intimate in real time?" Her gaze jumped to me with a silent "dude?" Then back to Lyra. "Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt your glowing," she said delicately. I pinched the bridge of my nose. "She's not glowing at you. She's glowing because of him," Lyra finished crisply, pointing at me with regal certainty. "He is my stabilizing partner. If my heart had been thudding before, now it was actively hurling itself against my ribs, begging to escape. Stabilizing what now?" Lucy squeaked. "Temporary," I said quickly. Maybe too quickly. Lyra's filaments twitched. "It is not temporary," she corrected. I nearly choked. "Lyra." "On my world," she said with impeccable scholar's calm. "When 2 individuals align biochemistry during a reflex surge, the connection persists until resolved by a completion ritual." Lucy choked on her own spit. I buried my face in my hands. "There is no ritual," I muttered, though not convincingly. "There must be," Lyra said, blinking at me like I'd forgotten basic math. "Our heart rates are still partially synchronized. This is inefficient." Lucy made a sound like a hamster fainting. I shot her a pleading look. She mouthed, "What did you do?" Lyra stepped even closer to me, subtle enough to seem casual, but not subtle enough to not scream mine to every person with eyes. Her glow intensified, washing warm lemon gold light across the room. Lucy quietly backed toward the door, like she was trying not to spook a tiger. "Okay," she said brightly. "I'm going to go. Literally anywhere else. Good luck with whatever this is." She made a vague wiggly motion at Lyra's glowing chest and my very red face. Then, "Ray? Call me later, or don't. Actually, no. Call me. I need context." The door clicked shut before I could answer. Silence returned, thick as syrup. Then Lyra exhaled one long, shuddering breath that unraveled the tension like a dropped spool. "I disliked that," she said bluntly. "The interruption?" I asked gently. "The way she looked at you," she corrected without shame. My eyebrows shot up. "That's jealousy." She frowned thoughtfully. "It is inefficient." I was perfectly stable before another female entered the territory. I inhaled sharply. "Territory?" "You," she clarified, pointing again. "You are the territory." Somehow that was worse. And better, but mostly worse. "Well," I said weakly, "humans don't usually call each other territory, just so you know." "That is illogical," she replied. "If something is valuable, one protects it." I swear my soul left my body for a second and slapped me for enjoying that sentence too much. Before I could respond, Lyra swayed. Just a fraction. Enough to make my doctor instincts kick in. "Lyra, hey, stay with me." "What's happening?" She pressed a hand to her sternum. The glow there rippled unevenly. Reflex, destabilizing again. The interruption disrupted the regulation pattern. My stomach dropped. "Tell me what you need." "Contact," she whispered, heat radiating from her skin. "What kind of?" She took my wrist, guided my hand to her side, just beneath the ribs. Warmth pulsed beneath my fingertips, rhythmic and trembling. Her second heartbeat, something unique to her species, fluttered like a trapped bird. Her filaments lifted and fell in waves. "This calms it," she said softly. The intimacy of it knocked the breath out of me. Okay, I've got you." She stepped closer, close enough that her chest brushed mine, close enough that I could feel the vibration of her hum resonating through both of us. I wrapped an arm around her instinctively, supporting her weight as she leaned into me. Her head rested against my shoulder tentatively at first, then fully, trusting me to hold her. "You smell like warm oxygen," she murmured, her voice thick with some emotion I didn't dare name yet. "That could be a compliment," I said shakily. "It is," she murmured. "Your biology is pleasant." Her glow dimmed to a soft, steady pulse, still bright, still charged, but controlled. She exhaled again, that humming sigh brushing my throat, sending sparks down my spine. We remained like that, entwined, breathing slowly together until the trembling in her heartbeat steadied. She pulled back just enough to look at me, her eyes soft and luminous. "Ray," she said in a whisper that felt like a touch, "I am learning what your humans mean by kiss, but I do not yet understand the action." Her fingers curled in my shirt, anchoring me. "Will you teach me?" The question hovered, fragile, hopeful, blazing. I leaned in, my forehead touching hers. "Yeah," I breathed. "But only if you want me to." Her glow brightened in a single, breathtaking sweep across her skin. "I do," she said. And then, just as the universe tilted us together, a sharp buzz sounded from the front door. Another interruption. Another cliffhanger. "Ray?" called a voice I recognized with sinking dread. "It's the xenobiology liaison. I'm here for Lyra's daily health check." Lyra groaned softly. "No, not now." I couldn't help laughing helplessly. "Welcome to Earth," I whispered, She squeezed my shirt tighter. "Then let us not open the door," she said firmly, and her glow surged, almost daring me to disagree. Lyra's grip on my shirt only tightened as the door buzzer honked again, longer, more insistent this time, the kind of buzz that carried the subtext of "I know you're in there, Ray, and I am 2 seconds from using my override badge." I groaned. "It's Dr. Hemley. He'll let himself in whether we want him to or—" "No," Lyra said with sudden steel. "He will not." She stepped back just enough to plant her feet, shoulders squared, glow sharpening to a crisp line of gold along her collarbones, like a warrior preparing for an intruder rather than a biologist preparing for a checkup. Her filaments rose like feathers, iridescent and alert. "No," she repeated, voice low. "I am in stabilization. That takes precedence over protocol. In human culture," I said carefully, "locking out your doctor because you're cuddling your stabilizing partner isn't exactly standard practice." She tilted her head. "Then your culture needs revision." I almost choked on a laugh. "That's not how society works." "That is precisely how societies work," she countered, finger raised like she was about to give a TED talk. Someone observes a flaw and enacts correction. Correction? I echoed. "Lyra, you literally just discovered jealousy 12 minutes ago." Her glow flickered. "And I am already quite good at it." The buzzer went off again, short, sharp, annoyed. I sighed. "I need to open the door. If I don't, Hemley will assume you're going into cardiac shock." "I am going into cardiac shock," she pointed out with full seriousness. "You are the antidote." I froze. She blinked, innocent and literal. "Emotionally, biochemically, thermally, and aesthetically." "Aesthetically? You are visually pleasing." "It is stabilizing?" My brain attempted to reboot. She took a tiny step closer, lowering her voice as if trying to bribe me with sincerity. "If he comes inside, he will interrupt again." I dislike interruptions. "Yeah, I gathered." The knock that followed was so aggressive, it made the picture frames rattle. "Ray!" Dr. Hemley shouted. Lyra's monitoring chip flagged an elevated heart rate and pheromone spike. "I need to come in." Lyra winced. "He is loud." "He's worried," I said. "And technically, he is responsible for your—" "He is not responsible for my heart rate," she interrupted firmly. "You are." My throat went dry. "Okay," I whispered, "but that's not how humans phrase that." She frowned. "Is it inaccurate?" My heart decided to reenact fireworks. The door buzzed for a 4th time, now accompanied by the unmistakable sound of a keycard swipe. "Damn it," I muttered. "He's overriding the lock." Lyra's glow snapped brighter. "Ray, hide me." "Hide you? From your doctor?" "Yes." "Where am I supposed to?" Before I could finish the sentence, she grabbed my wrist and pulled me behind the kitchen partition. We crouched like fugitives hiding from law enforcement, which, in my building, was approximately accurate. The door clicked open. "Ray?" Dr. Hemley called, footsteps heavy on the hardwood. "Lyra, are you safe?" Lyra pressed closer to me, so close her forehead bumped my cheek. She let out a soft hum of anxiety, and her skin's glow dimmed and brightened in nervous pulses. "Should we answer him?" I whispered. "No," she whispered back without hesitation. For someone who claimed aliens valued honesty, she was alarmingly good at evasion. Hemley's shoes clacked across the floor. The biometric chip showed a reflex spike. "If Lyra is undergoing phase 1 mating symptoms, I need to document." Lyra slapped her hand over my mouth before I could react. I felt her breath at my ear. "If he says mating one more time, I will hiss." I tried very hard not to laugh. It came out as a muffled snort against her palm. Hemley paused. "Ray, are you laughing? Is someone laughing?" Lyra glared at me, eyes wide and glowing, silently accusing me of treason. I gently removed her hand. "We need to say something," I whispered. She shook her head so hard her filaments shivered. "No, if he sees me glowing like this, he will assume. You are glowing like this," I whispered. She scowled. "That is irrelevant." Hemley's footsteps approached again, and suddenly, he was right on the other side of our hiding. Spot Lyra panicked, but alien panic apparently translated into burying herself against me like a frightened cat made of luminescence. She climbed practically onto my lap knees, bracketing my thighs, arms around my neck, forehead tucked into the hollow beneath my jaw. I felt her second heartbeat through my collarbone, fast and tremoring. Her glow lit up my entire chest. "Lyra," I whispered, stunned. "This position reduces stress hormones," she murmured, voice vibrating against my throat. "Scientific fact." I'm not arguing, but..." She tightened her legs around my waist. "I am very stressed," she whispered urgently. I swallowed so hard it was audible. Hemley cleared his throat. I can hear breathing and whispering. "If this is a bad time, just say so." Lyra whispered fiercely into my neck. "Do not say so." My self-control was crumbling like ancient sandstone. Her hum deepened, feathering through my skin in warm waves. Her fingers tangled instinctively into my hair, and she let out a sound soft, involuntary, intimate, that shot heat straight down my spine. I was going to die here. Hemley called out again. "Ree? Is Lyra having pheromonal instability? You need to keep a stable barrier distance of at least 30 centimeters. I nearly choked. Lyra stiffened, offended. She whispered, scandalized. 30 centimeters? I require 0 centimeters. My brain flatlined. Okay, I whispered. Now you're just saying things to kill me. She pulled back just enough to look into my eyes too close. Too intense, too everything. I do not wish to kill you, she said honestly. I wish to understand you. Something in my chest actually ached. Hemley sighed loudly. If you two are half hidden behind the counter again, I swear to. Again? My head snapped toward the doorway in disbelief. Lyra blinked innocently. We have never done this before. Apparently we have? I hissed. Hemley finally stepped far enough away that the pressure eased. Fine. I'll run a remote scan from the hallway. But Ray, call me when you're finished doing whatever you're doing. And open a window. It smells like ionized pheromones. The door closed. Silence flooded back in. Lyra's glow softened. Her grip loosened. Slowly like a cat, realizing it had tackled someone, she slid off my lap, settling on the floor beside me with graceful embarrassment. I may have overreacted, she admitted. Just a bit, I whispered. Still trying to regulate my heart rate. She looked up at me, eyes warm and searching. But you did not dislike it. That hit me like a meteor. No, I said quietly. I didn't? She inched closer, cautious but hopeful. Then, will you continue stabilizing me? My breath caught. Yeah, I said softly. If you want. She considered that. Then, with a gentle glowing smile, I want. She reached for my hand, and the moment our fingers intertwined, her glow flared soft, bright, breathtaking. Ray, she whispered, I am ready to understand what a kiss truly means now. Just as I leaned in aloud, shrill alarm blared from her chest monitor. We both froze. Her eyes widened. That, she said gravely, is not supposed to happen. And the room filled with pulsing red light. Asterisk, the pulsing red light painted the entire apartment like an emergency scene. Lyra stared down at the faintly blinking biomonitor clipped to the strap across her sternum, its LEDs flashing a warning pattern I'd only seen once. In a training simulation that ended with a lecture about catastrophic hormonal cascades, which, given the context, was not the most reassuring association. Oh no, I whispered. That's a phase 2 alert. Lyra's filaments shot straight up. Phase 2? She sounded genuinely alarmed. There is a phase 2? Yes, I hissed. Didn't your species evolve this reflex? My family line is very logical, she muttered defensively. We do not. Romance often. I blinked. Your entire bloodline skipped courtship? She threw me a wounded look. We are efficient. The alarm doubled in speed, but her glow already bright deepened into a molten amber hue that pulsed with each of her breaths. Her second heartbeat kicked into a rapid flutter under her ribs. The air around her warmed, double quotes Lyra. I said, stepping closer. What does phase 2 mean for your people? She swallowed. It requires stabilization more urgently. How urgently? Now. Another pulse of her glow washed over me like warm sunlight. Her voice dropped an octave. Ray, if we do not initiate completion protocol, the feedback loop will escalate. Completion protocol? My voice cracked. That sounds like a euphemism. It is, she admitted. The alarm blared again, shrill and accusing, as though scolding me personally. Then her knees buckled. I lunged forward and caught her before she hit the floor. Her arms immediately found my shoulders. Her forehead pressed to my collarbone. She trembled not with fear, but with overwhelming sensory overload. It's too strong. She whispered, voice shaking. Your scent, your proximity, it is all amplifying. I held her tighter, my hand supporting the small of her back as her glow radiated in waves. Okay, I'm here. Tell me what to do. Her breath fanned against my neck warm, unsteady. Contact resets the reflex, she murmured. But phase 2 requires a more deliberate gesture. I felt her lips brush my collarbone by accident, and electricity shot straight down my spine. Her glow flared from gold to a deep, heated rose. Lyra. I breathed. What gesture? She lifted her head, and her eyes, normally dark with flecks of starlight, were luminous, shimmering from the inside out. A kiss, she whispered, soft, certain, like a secret she'd finally decoded. My breath left me in a stuttered exhale. A kiss will fix this? Her hand cupped my jaw, a gentle, trembling touch. A kiss will align our biochemistry and end the reflex cascade. It must be mutual, intentional, and prolonged. Oh, I croaked. So scientific. Very scientific, she agreed gravely. Another alarm beeped, more persistently. She winced, leaning her forehead to mine. Please, Ray, I do not wish to collapse on your floor. That was all the convincing I needed. I brushed my thumb along her cheek. Her glow followed the touch like a tide rising to meet the moon. Then let me help you. I whispered. Her breath hitched. She leaned in, and the universe narrowed to the inch of space between us. The moment before our first kiss is its own gravity-heavy, soft, magnetic. Her warmth filled my senses. Her filaments brushed my neck, sending tingles down every nerve I had. Her glow illuminated both our faces, softening the world into gold. Her lips grazed mine, and the front door slammed open again. Ray, the biometric scans show phase 2. Do you need? Dr. Hemley froze mid-sentence. Lyra froze mid-glow. I froze. Mid-kiss. All of us stared at each other. Hemley's face went through several stages of horror. Oh no. Oh, stars above. No, I am leaving. You did not see me. I was not here. He yanked the door shut so hard, the frame rattled. Silence. And Lyra made a noise I'd never heard from any being. Half growl, half wounded plea. That man, she said darkly, is preventing my survival. I laughed helplessly, but the laugh died when her knees dipped again. She clutched my shirt, pulling me down with surprising strength. "Ray, please." Nothing in me wanted to refuse. I steadied her chin with my fingers. "It's okay. I've got you." The alarm blared louder. She pressed closer, breath trembling. "Then kiss me before your medical overseer returns with a fire extinguisher." I didn't need more prompting. I leaned in. Slowly, slow enough to make sure she could back away. Fast enough that the universe didn't get another chance to interrupt. Our lips met a warm, soft, electrifying contact. Her glow exploded, not violently, but in a beautiful rush of light that wrapped around us like a sunrise made of silk. Her second heartbeat synced to mine in one sharp, perfect rhythm. The alarm stuttered, faded, and fell silent. She melted into me, arms around my neck, body softening, hum shifting into a low, blissful resonance that vibrated against my chest. When we finally parted, breathless, her glow settled into the softest, happiest shimmer I'd ever seen. "Ray," she whispered, touching her lips in awe. "I understand now." I smiled. "Yeah, it is. Wonderful." And then she kissed me again, quick, right? Like punctuation on a declaration she wasn't done making. But before we could savor the moment, her biomonitor beeped one more time. She frowned at it. "Oh no." My heart dropped. "What now?" She looked up at me, cheeks glowing. "According to the device," she said carefully, "we have accidentally entered a preliminary bonding cycle." "A what?" Her glow brightened mischievously. "A cycle that lasts 8 days." And she smiled, warm, radiant, dangerously pleased. "Ray," she said, "we will need very close proximity." Asterisk, I stared at her, at the glow softening her features, at the calm certainty in her posture, at the absolute lack of irony in her voice. 8 days? I repeated, somewhere between a squeak and a gasp. 8 days of this? Yes, she said serenely. Continuous. Or at minimum, scheduled intervals of close contact. I blinked. Scheduled? Yes, she confirmed, tapping her biomonitor. It recommends 4 stabilizing alignments per daily cycle. My soul left my body and came back just long enough to panic. "Lyra," I whispered. "Humans do not casually take 8-day bonding cycles." She tilted her head, filaments shimmering with confusion. "Why not?" Because that's practically a honeymoon." "A what?" My brain short-circuited. "Honeymoon," I repeated weakly. It's a human thing couples do after getting married." She lit up at the word couples in a way that made me feel like I'd stepped on a cultural landmine. "You think we are a couple?" she asked with unfiltered curiosity, leaning closer, as if that alone were a scientific probe. "No." I sputtered, then immediately backtracked. "I mean, maybe? I don't know. We just kissed, Lyra. Beautifully, miraculously, world-shatteringly. But that doesn't automatically mean," she blinked slowly. "On my world, a kiss does mean that." My entire nervous system staged a walkout. She touched her lips lightly, still glowing faintly. We shared breath, heat, biochemical exchange. "It is a vow? A what now?" "A vow," she repeated cheerfully. Mutually acknowledged interest. Possibly permanent. I choked. She leaned in even closer, soft glow, brushing my skin, curious, gentle, and very matter-of-fact. "But do not worry. If the bond becomes inconvenient, we can dissolve it with the appropriate ritual." "A dissolution ritual?" I squeaked. Double quotes, yes. A 3-person witnessing ceremony. A symbolic water offering, and either a 7-day cooling period. 7 days? I croaked. "Or," she said thoughtfully, "a second kiss of equal intensity to the first." I stared. Her glow pulsed. She smirked. "You have gone very still," she observed. Oh, I'm beyond still, I whispered. I'm contemplating my mortality. Do not, she said, patting my chest with gentle indignation. You are very much alive. She stepped back half an inch, just enough to look me over, scanning my face with that hybrid mix of medical concern and personal fascination she'd perfected. You are not distressed in the ways I expected, she said thoughtfully. Oh? And what ways did you expect? I asked. Elevated cortisol, sweating, avoidance behaviors, fleeing. She paused. You did not flee. Flee? I sputtered. Where would I even flee to? You're faster than me. Correct, she said proudly, filaments fluttering. I would catch you. That image did things to me. She noticed, because of course she did, and her glow brightened just slightly, like a blush made of starlight. Ray, she said more softly, do you regret the kiss? The question stopped me cold. Her eyes searched mine open, unguarded, hopeful in a way that made my chest ache. For all her confident logic and literal phrasing, there was vulnerability there too. A very alien vulnerability, wrapped in bioluminescence and earnest curiosity. No, I said instantly, truth pouring out before I could filter it. No, not for a second. Her glow bloomed warmly across her cheeks. Good, she exhaled a soft, relieved sound, and her filaments relaxed down her back. Then she brightened again, suddenly excited. Then we should continue. Co-continue what? I squeaked. Adjustment, she said simply. We must learn to exist in proximity for 8 days. It is sensible to practice. I had absolutely no comeback. She stepped toward me closer. Closer until her glow lit my shirt, until her breath warmed my chin, until her fingers brushed my wrist with a feather-light question. But when she spoke, her voice was unexpectedly shy. Is this acceptable contact? Her hand hovered just above mine. I gently curled my fingers around hers. Yeah, I said softly. It's more than acceptable. Her glow deepened rich, golden. Then what about this? She shifted nearer, standing close enough that our shoulders brushed. Warm, sweet, careful. Still acceptable? She whispered. I nodded. And this? She leaned her forehead against my chest. My heart thumped through the contact. Her second heartbeat sensed to mine with a little flutter. I wrapped my arms around her, slow and deliberate. That's perfect, I murmured. She melted into the embrace with a soft hum of contentment, the happiest sound I'd ever heard from her. But a second later, her head popped up with sudden alarm. Ray, she gasped, I forgot something vital. My stomach plummeted. What? What did we forget? She grabbed my cheeks, staring into my soul. We must inform Lucy, she said gravely. Oh no, Lyra, I begged. Lucy is already traumatized. It is essential, she said solemnly. If she sees us holding hands again without being briefed, she may assume you are being held hostage. She already does. Then we must clarify that you are willing. Okay, fair point. But she was already walking to the door. Her glow was bright. Her resolve was brighter. I hissed. Too late. She pulled out her communicator. Lucy, she said calmly into the device. Ray and I require your presence, immediately. I buried my face in my hands. This was going to be a disaster. A glowing, affectionate, 8-day-long disaster. And I was absolutely doomed. Lyra didn't just call. Lucy. No, she summoned her like a queen, demanding an audience. Within 3 minutes, there was a frantic knock on my door. Rap, 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 rap. Ray, Lyra? Are you both alive? No glowing explosions? No pheromone fog? No. Lucy barged in mid-sentence, because apparently privacy was dead. She stopped abruptly when she saw the scene. Me and Lyra standing close. Hands intertwined, glows. Glowing. Lucy blinked. Once. Twice. Then she pointed at us like she'd uncovered a government conspiracy. I knew it. She shouted. I groaned. Lucy, please, let me explain. No, 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 she said, pacing wildly. I want to hear this from Her. She pointed aggressively at Lyra, as if she were interrogating a witness. Because earlier, you almost hissed at me, Sci-Fi Tinkerbell. Lyra squared her shoulders and nodded with regal dignity. I did. It was instinct. Lucy threw her hands up. Instinct? Instinct to what, claim my coworker like an emotional support houseplant? Lyra blinked. If Ray were a plant, he would be a very attractive one. I what? Lucy sputtered. That's not plants aren't, oh my God. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Hard. Lyra just needs to clarify something. I said through clenched teeth. No, Lyra corrected, lifting her chin. We need to clarify something. I silently begged the universe for mercy. Lyra stepped forward, glowing softly. Hands clasped behind her like she was about to present scientific findings at a conference. Lucy, she said with utmost calm, I have entered a preliminary bonding cycle with Ray. Lucy screamed. Not a loud scream. Not a terrified scream. But one of those high-pitched, oh my God, they're dating and I'm invested, screams that ricocheted around the living room. Bonded? She yelled. Like relationship bonded? Lyra tilted her head. Yes, like romantic bonded. Yes, like for how long? 8 days, Lyra said. Lucy froze mid-breath. 8 days. That's oddly specific. It is biologically mandated. Lucy turned slowly to me, like a horror movie villain. Ray, did you know this? I did not, I said loudly. Lyra squeezed my hand. He knows now. Lucy's eyes darted between us. So, you two are, what, dating? Mating? Cuddling aggressively? What is this? We kissed, Lyra said proudly. I nearly self-destructed on the spot. Lucy gasped, clasping both hands over her mouth. Oh my God, you did. I knew it. I called this months ago. You owe me 5 credits, Ray. Why would you bet on my love life? I demanded. She waved dismissively. Everyone at the clinic was betting. You were the only one who didn't know you were into her. Honestly, you were ruining the suspense. My jaw dropped. The entire clinic? Lyra's glow brightened pleasantly. Your co-workers approve? That is advantageous for social acceptance of the bond. Lucy beamed. Girl, we shipped you two so hard. Shipped? Lyra asked, confused. Lucy grabbed her by the shoulders. It means we wanted you together. She paused, like, romantically. Lyra lit up like sunrise. Ah. Yes, then your ship has launched successfully. Lucy squealed again. Meanwhile, I seriously considered evaporating. Then Lucy leaned in, eyes sparkling mischievously. So, if this bonding is 8 days long, does that mean Ray has to nitrogen monoxide? I cut her off instantly. And you both have to, Lucy, please. And there's probably some alien cuddle ritual. Stop talking. Lyra nodded thoughtfully. He is correct. The ritual is private. Lucy screamed into her own sleeve to keep from combusting. Then, grinning like the devil, she walked backward toward the door. Welp. I'll leave you 2 lovebirds to your 8-day alien honeymoon. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. That's not reassuring. I yelled. Click. Door shut. Silence. Then Lyra looked up at me with a warm, glowing smile. I like your friend, she said. I groaned. She's going to tell everyone. That is acceptable, Lyra said sweetly. I prefer when others know you are taken. My brain stopped functioning. Taken? I echoed faintly. She stepped into my space again, glow warming the air between us. Double quotes. Yes, she whispered. Taken by me. and my heart betrayed me by absolutely melting. Asterisk, if a human heart could just stop working from emotional overload, mine absolutely would have. Because Lyra didn't say it as a joke. She didn't say it teasingly. She said, taken by me, like it was a simple, unquestionable truth of the universe, like gravity. Or sunsets. Or the fact that her glow made my brain soft and useless. I swallowed hard. Lyra, humans don't usually use the word taken outside of dramatic romance novels. She blinked innocently. Is that incorrect? It's strong, I said carefully. Very possessive. Her filaments perked. Good. I enjoy possessing things I care about. Not people, I sputtered. She tilted her head with curious calm. But I care about you. I froze. She didn't notice the way the room spun for me. She was too busy examining our intertwined hands, like they were a scientific discovery. This connection is pleasant, she murmured. Comfortable, stabilizing. You? Like holding hands? I said softly. Yes. Then, after a beat, very much. Her glow brightened at the confession. And when you touched my cheek earlier, she added, voice dipping into something soft and mesmerized, I experienced a warmth I have not felt before. Not even during solar migrations. That's all good? I offered, sounding like a man drowning in affection. She nodded. It is. Extremely good. Then her gaze lifted to mine slowly, deliberately, like she was aligning star charts. Ray, she said quietly, may I ask something? Yeah, anything. She hesitated, glow flickering a sign I'd learned meant uncertainty. When you kissed me, did you also feel warmth? Or was that only my physiology? My breath caught. Lyra, I said, voice barely holding steady. I felt a lot more than warmth. Her cheeks glowed deep rosy gold. What did you feel? She whispered. I exhaled slowly, letting the truth come out before fear could stop it. Like my chest was full of light, I said softly. Like everything made sense for 1 second. Like it wasn't just a biological reflex. Like it was something I wanted. Her whole expression softened, completely, beautifully. A soft, trembling hum escaped her, one I hadn't heard before. Not anxious. Not overwhelmed, just happy. You wanted it, she repeated, tasting the words. Not because of my glow. Or the reflex. Because of you, I said. That did it. Her glow flared bright. Warm. Blooming through her skin like sunrise. Catching fire on crystal. She stared at me with such open joy that I nearly forgot how breathing worked. Then she stepped closer. Very close. Close. Ray, she whispered. May I share something? Anything. I breathed. She lifted her hand and placed it gently against my chest. Her touch was warm, delicate, reverent. In my culture, she said softly, when someone speaks truth from the heart, we acknowledge it like this. Her fingers curled lightly into the fabric of my shirt. And then, we respond in kind. I blinked. In kind? She nodded solemnly. Her glow deepened, a rich golden color of affection. Then, slow enough to let me stop her and close enough that her breath brushed my lips. She whispered, I want you too. My chest tightened so hard my knees nearly buckled. But before I could say anything, before I could even breathe, her biomonitor chirped again. She pulled back with a tiny gasp. Double quotes. Oh no, she murmured, horrified. Ray, this reading. My pulse spiked. What? What does it say? She looked up at me with wide, glowing eyes. It says, we have entered the secondary phase of the bonding cycle. Secondary? I yelped. She nodded gravely. Ray, this means something very significant. What does it mean? She took a steadying breath. It means. She paused dramatically, glow pulsing. We must perform the next step. I stared at her, heart pounding. The next step? She nodded. Then she whispered with absolute seriousness. We must sit very, very close on the couch. I blinked. That's it? Yes, she said solemnly. For at least 20 minutes. She paused, then added quietly, and possibly hold each other. My brain promptly melted into butter, and she smiled softly, tugging my hand toward the couch. Not commanding. Not overwhelming. Just hopeful. Ray, will you sit with me? Asterisk Lyra didn't wait for my brain to reboot. She tugged my hand gently but insistently toward the couch, like a star pulling a planet into orbit. I followed because what else was I going to do? Say no to a glowing alien woman who looked at me like I was the supernova? Not a chance. She stopped in front of the couch, turned to face me, and lifted both hands with ceremonial seriousness. For Phase 2 stabilization, she declared, you must sit first. That sounds suspiciously like you just want my lap. She blinked innocently. Yes. I choked. She was entirely shameless about it. Lyra, I said, sinking slowly onto the couch, you can just say you want to sit close to me? I did say that. Well, without calling it a biological mandate. But it is a biological mandate. I groaned, defeated by her logic and by how badly I wanted her close anyway. She approached with the same poised single-mindedness of a cat, determined to claim a warm laptop. But just before she climbed onto me, she paused, her glow dimming to a gentler shimmer. Ray, she murmured, is this still acceptable? The question quiet, vulnerable, genuine, pulled at every soft part of me. Yeah, I said, voice low. Come here. She brightened instantly, and then she settled herself onto my lap slowly, like she was cataloging each point of contact. Her legs folded against mine. Her arms slid around my shoulders. Her forehead rested lightly against my temple. When she exhaled, her glow warmed, bathing us in soft golden light. It wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't rushed. It was tender. Careful. Perfect. Double quotes. This feels right, she whispered. I nodded, letting one arm wrap around her waist. It really does. Her second heartbeat synced with mine again, a faint fluttering pulse pressed against my ribs. She relaxed entirely, melting into me with a soft hum. Then she asked, would you like to know why my species sits like this? I mean, yeah. Enlighten me. It is how we transfer equilibrium during early bonding. We match pressure points, breathing rhythm, and emotional tone. Emotional tone? I echoed. She tilted her head, her cheek brushing mine. Yes, your chest warms when you look at me. I stilled. You notice that? I feel it, she said simply. Your heart speeds up by 12 beats. Your breathing shifts. Your scent, she paused thoughtfully, is softer. My scent is soft? Yes, she said, very pleased with this assessment. Soft and grounding, very. Safe. That word hit me hard. You feel safe with me? I asked quietly. She hummed a warm, resonant agreement, vibrating through her chest into mine. Safer than I have ever felt. I didn't know what to do with the emotion that flooded me. Pride, protectiveness, affection so strong it was almost dizzying. So I just held her a little closer. Her glow pulsed in response. Slow, content, matching the rhythm of her breath. After a few moments, she spoke again, voice a shy whisper against my neck. Ray, may I tell you a secret from my culture? Always. In my world's literature, she murmured, fingers tracing my collar lightly, the position we are in is only done with someone you trust deeply. I felt my heart stumble. And someone you? Desire. My breath hitched so sharply, she pulled back, concerned. Is that a distress response? No, I said quickly. Not distress. Just processing. Her glow softened, amused. Humans process slowly. We're fragile. I protested. You are adorable, she corrected. I sputtered. She smiled. Then, with the gentlest shift, she laid her head against my shoulder again, right in the space she'd clearly claimed for herself. Ray, she whispered. Thank you for sitting with me. I kissed the top of her head before I could stop myself. She froze, glowing bright as a lantern. Then she whispered, breathless, we have advanced to the tertiary phase. I froze. The tertiary phase? Yes, she said softly, glow blooming across her cheeks. It means the desire to kiss has returned. My heartbeat skyrocketed. She lifted her face, hopeful, warm, glowing. Ray, may I kiss you again? Asterisk. For a moment, everything in the room went silent. Not quiet. Silent like the air itself was holding its breath with me. Lyra's face was inches from mine, her glow soft and radiant, her expression open in the most disarming way imaginable. She wasn't teasing. She wasn't overwhelmed. She wasn't caught in a reflex. She was asking, because she wanted to. My voice came out softer than I meant. Yeah, you can. Her eyes brightened literally, bioluminescent tendrils shimmering like someone had lit a candle behind them. She lifted her hands to my cheeks, cradling them as if I were something delicate. Her touch was warm, gentle, reverent. Then she leaned in. The kiss was slower this time. Not rushed. Not desperate. Not interrupted by alarms or doctors or frantic coworker screams. Just intentional. Her glow swelled warmly, encircling us like a soft halo. Her hum deepened into a low, tender vibration that I felt in my chest more than my ears. Her fingers curled slightly against my jaw, as though anchoring herself. When she finally pulled back, she stayed close, forehead resting lightly against mine, breath mingling with mine. She whispered, voice trembling with joy, that kiss was even better. I laughed softly. Yeah, it was. She studied my face like she was memorizing each line. Your lips warm in a way that stimulates my neural receptors. The sensation is... She searched for the right word. Extraordinary. Glad to be extraordinary, I said weakly. Her glow flickered in amused affection. Then suddenly, she perked up, filaments rising with excited energy. Ray. The monitor, look. I glanced down. The device strapped to her chest was no longer pulsing red or vibrating warnings. It was glowing in a soft, steady green. That means, she said with a proud little smile, the bonding reflex is stabilizing perfectly. From kissing? I asked. She nodded enthusiastically. Yes, your contribution was highly effective. My country. I'll put that on my resume. She tilted her head. Is resume one of your human courting documents? I snorted. No, definitely not. She tapped her fingers lightly against my chest, innocent curiosity returning. Then it is not required for bonding? No, I said with a laugh. Definitely not required. Good, she said simply, pleased. Then I prefer this way. Her glow warmed again, soft and very affectionate, as she snuggled closer. Not because of biology, not because of instinct, because she wanted to be close. I slid my arm more fully around her waist, pulling her gently against me. She sighed, a soft, content sound that rumbled in her chest. Ray, she murmured, I believe I enjoy human bonding rituals. Yeah? I said, smiling into her hair. She nodded against me. Yes, especially the kissing part. I wish to do that more. Later, many times. Heat climbed up my neck. I won't object. Her glow flickered mischievously. Good, because the device also says we have 49 additional opportunities before the cycle ends. I blinked. 49. What? Kiss intervals. Oh, stars, I muttered. We're doomed. She smiled sweetly, curling closer. No, Ray, she whispered. We are bonded. And my heart absolutely dissolved.